As one of France's most important Atlantic ports, Bordeaux was a crucial hub in the transatlantic slave trade. Ships departed from Bordeaux with textiles, weaponry, and other manufactured goods bound for the coasts of West Africa, where they were traded for enslaved Africans. These captives were then forced to endure the horrific Middle Passage across the Atlantic to French colonies in the Caribbean, such as Saint Domingue, which is modern-day Haiti. The same ships would then return to Bordeaux with sugar, coffee, and cocoa, valuable commodities produced by enslaved labor. This cycle of exploitation generated immense wealth, making Bordeaux one of France's richest cities.
Our class visit began at the Musée d'Aquitaine, where the official narrative presented a sanitized and misleading history. The tour guide's initial claim that there was no slavery in Bordeaux is a stark example. While it is true that slavery was technically illegal in metropolitan France under the Freedom Principle, this ignores the reality that the city's economy was inextricably linked to the institution in the colonies. Additionally, indentured servitude had a large presence in France at the time.
The museum's narrative continued to distort history by presenting the 16th century philosopher Montaigne as against slavery, which is anachronistic because Bordeaux's involvement in the slave trade occurred primarily between the 17th and the 19th centuries, which was after he died.
Finally, the museum's chronological exhibit creates a jarring disconnect between Bordeaux's slave trading past and its present. The exhibition concludes with displays of modern achievements like aviation and space exploration, abruptly shifting the focus away from the enduring legacy of slavery and suggesting it as a closed chapter in the city's history. As a result, the museum minimizes the effects of slavery within Bordeaux's system, choosing instead to mostly focus on other unrelated economic factors.
In stark contrast, our walking tour, led by a much younger guide, offered a more contemporary and critical perspective. This tour moved beyond the museum's curated walls and into the city itself, focusing on the human rights atrocities at the heart of the slave trade and Bordeaux's economy. At the Porte de la Lune, our guide detailed how this area was not just a commercial hub, but a site for profound human suffering, where enslaved individuals were evaluated and sold. She emphasized the crimes against humanity that occurred in Bordeaux, such as family separation and sexual violence. This focus on the human cost directly challenged the museum's detached and economic portrayal.
The walking tour also illuminated how the legacy of slavery continues to fuel contemporary social and racial tensions in Bordeaux. Our guide pointed to the recurring vandalism done by members of the far right. This stands in sharp contrast to the museum's narrative, which seems to suggest that slavery was only a slight part of Bordeaux's culture and that resultingly, there were no significant enduring consequences.
Additionally, our first guide suggested a fire had destroyed most records of the slave trade, which made it near impossible to accurately document the trade of slaves. This is very likely misleading. While some archives were lost, historians have successfully documented approximately 500 slaving voyages from Bordeaux, which resulted in the deportation of around 150,000 Africans. Our tour guide even gave us a specific 30% mortality rate for African captives on one specific voyage.
The starkly different narratives presented by the Musée d'Aquitaine and the walking tour reveal a city struggling to reconcile with its history. The museum's official account appears to minimize the brutality and central role of the slave trade, offering a cleaner, more palatable version of the past that detaches modern Bordeaux from its historical foundation of exploitation. Conversely, the walking tour provided an essential, unfiltered counter-narrative, grounding the history of slavery in the physical city and connecting it to ongoing racial and social issues. The controversies over historical monuments and the visible acts of defiance against them underscore that Bordeaux's slave trading past is not a settled matter, but in fact a living legacy that continues to shape the city's identity and provoke debate today.